could see where Smith was coming from. There was something very dark about him when he spoke about Miss Bonham. He was clearly obsessed with her, mainly in regards to attracting her attention. His drinking issues were obvious as well. He seemed out of it. The night of the murder became a vital statement in his alibi, bringing Mr. Tamar into the fray on a solid level. If there was some means of gathering up more from that event, well, then the suspicion of Tamar would rise greatly. As I left the room, I could only hope that Smith could gather up such information from him.
So what's to stop you being convinced, Collins?
He's vulnerable.
Vulnerable? Vulnerable enough to snap?
Or perhaps vulnerable enough to not even take a step without worry. Don't take vulnerability the wrong route.
How exactly?
Vulnerability doesn't always lead to anger.
But it might, Collins.
Might, Smith, isn't a guarantee. He talked about concern and doubt. He was clouded with anxiety. I mean, I can see how he's sensitive to talk about his alcohol troubles, his relationship with the victim. But to assume he's going to fly into a dangerous rage, well, that needs a basis.
Did you get anything significant out of him?
He calmed down. He spoke of his alcohol troubles, his job, his desire for our victim. To assume he's a stalker, there's no doubt in my mind. One more thing to note, Smith, which had been discussed with Mr. Tamar.
Which is?
He talked about the night of the murder. He said he saw our victim there. He said he also saw Mr. Tamar there. The last thing he remembers is a conversation with him outside the bar at about 11 p.m.
I'll make sure I'll get him to expand on that. So, Mr. Tamar.
About time, detective. I've got business to deal with, instead of being dragged in here.
Now you pipe down, or it's gonna get nasty.
Fidel was... he was a tough nut to crack. He was sly with his movements, and he did a great job of attempting to hide the truth. Looking back at it, there were times when he actually did.
We are well aware, Fidel, of your little escapades with Miss Bonham over the past week. So you're going to tell me about her?
What is there to tell? I mean, she was gorgeous and everything, but I barely knew her.
We've already got Miss Saul, who's provided a detailed alibi of your contact with her.
So we were talking here and there. Like I said, I know many women, detective. It takes quite a while to stand out for one in my mind.
You certainly stood out in her eyes, in more ways than one.
And who else might be conspiring against me, detective?
Jim Crockett.
Really? That creep? He was trying to slobber all over her, that poor girl, for weeks. All I could do was lighten up her little world, away from stalkers like him.
So you don't take too kindly to him either, then?
Who would? Look at him. He's an alcoholic. Everything he does is sitting on a bar, stares you, observes you. There's something very disturbing about him.
But you knew him, didn't you, Fidel? Why did you talk to him?
I needed his help.
What with? To ensure your little booty project made it to your place in one piece?
What are you talking about?
Jim Crockett confessed that he approached you on the night of the murder because you had some business for him to take care of.
So, what does this have to do with all of this?
Because, Fidel, we are well aware of your business with Miss Bonham. I mean, come on. A girl who barely knows you approaches you after she loses her job, and then approaches you again, and again, and again, and again. She needed the money. And you had it. And more. But let's be frank. You weren't going to let that girl walk away with that kind of dough without her paying you back in some way, was you?
You're out of your mind, detective.
Let me finish, Pedro. I mean, you said it yourself. You liked your slice of the ladies, didn't you? You slept her out. Drained the poor girl of every bit of spirit she had. And for what? Just so she can get by.
It's not like that. Yeah, it's true. She needed the money. But who wouldn't offer someone like her another helping hand?
Let me tell you something then. Both the confessions we got from Crockett and from Miss Searle match this theory perfectly. I mean, let's be honest. The girl gets her money. She can live her life. You get what you want. And a little crumpet as well.
So where to now, detective? Okay, you got me. You're right. I'm your classic two-timer slice. Bravo. But tell me this. Would have that really killed her?
I can see through your wit. Do you know what I see? I see a lost little boy who can't go through life without his little pleasures.
What can I say? I enjoy getting what I desire.
So ask me this. How did you react when she finally said no?
What?
I believe one night she finally turned you down. I mean, after all, she got what she wanted. She just wanted to cut the ties. I bet that made you very angry. How would you have acted if that would have been the word on the street?
I do not know what you're talking about.
See, you can't even accept it now. I bet it made you very angry. Angry, bitter, spoilt. I bet you couldn't physically let her refuse, could you? I mean, what'd you do? Did you let her walk out there freely with her own will? And then track her down? And, well, you should be able to figure the rest out yourself.
Aren't you forgetting somebody in all of this? What about that creep, Crockett? That night, when I talked to him, the moment he saw her in my arm, I saw the anger in his face. He could not bear it.
Smart, Fidel. Very smart. See, you've opened up a gateway of scenarios. But here's the thing. Your name is stamped on every single one of them. I mean, maybe Crockett did lose his rag and follow her afterwards. I mean, he is the perverted alcoholic stalker of which you speak. Detective Collins and I have learned to accept that.
There you go, detective. Bravo. Why keep me here any longer?
Because you could have persuaded him. See, Crockett could have murdered her. And then the blood would have been on his hands. You would have gone away scot-free. And with your dignity intact. Anyway. This concludes this interview. But you best buckle down your belt and get cosy. Because I'm not finished with you yet.